now and again a game comes along which you knew nothing about, had missed completely off the radar, wasn't what you expected, and you end up enjoying it despite your first train of impressions of what it is. Michael had came along to the club one night with his sack full of games, as he often does. Quite often Michael's games are good, but they're perhaps a little bit highbrow for us. You know, lots of little hexes and small square tokens with lots of numbers on them, mean things, and various charts to be referred to. So when this appeared from his bag, there was a certain apprehension. Then he explained it, but regardless of that, we decided to play it anyway. I'm only joking. No, he explained it very, very well, but it's an odd little game, is Dice Forge, in that the explanation for it was almost a little daunting. And then we started to play it and went, hey, hang on, this is kind of straightforward and kind of fun. It's a cute little game. Libellud are the makers. They made Dixit back in 2008. That's when they kind of kicked off, and they've got a plethora of other things on their catalogue. I am not aware of a great many of them. I think this is the first one of their titles that I have played, and indeed the first one of the titles that I subsequently out and bought. In fact, two of us ended up buying it that night after Michael's game. So that kind of says something straight off the bat about what we thought of it. Probably the best thing to do, rather than stand here and point at things that you can barely see, is to literally dive straight in. Come in, have a look at it, and it's, you know what, it's one of those ones, it's as easy to show you kind of how the gameplay works, as well as how all the stuff comes together as well. The box is part and parcel of the game, so you've got your nice, kind of put me in mind of the Dark Crystal that, but that's completely irrelevant, so I shouldn't really mention it. That's not. The box forms part of the play area. The board comes out from it, the cards. If I had to compare it to something, I'm hard pressed to. There was a sensation of enjoyment when playing it that is similar to the one I get when I play something like Dominion. You know, the one where you're buying the cards every round. You've got gold cards in your hand. You're using them to buy cards from the centre. There's a certain similarity, but very, very different. So don't be sort of thinking they've borrowed some mechanic or whatnot. It's more the feeling that I got playing it reminded me of that, rather than overall the mechanics. Rules are fairly straightforward. What I do love, and we'll do this before we sort of come over, that's the rule book. It's essentially four sheets, and whilst it looks jam-packed, it is jam-packed. It's fairly straightforward, and everything's visual on it. Everything has a picture, everything shows you what they're talking about, and the words are not airy-fairy, they're very much to the point. Found very, very few areas of, what do they mean? And you know, we're fairly dim when it comes to games. We like it in, you know, large print. So no, that was kind of good to see. And everything, even how the dice change, and we'll show you that closer up as well, everything's kind of there. And the main reference used throughout the game, until probably you're au fait with it, which maybe 3-4 games of it and you'll have it down pat. It is fairly straightforward in that sense. Is this little 2-page document here, which shows all the game cards and what their symbols actually mean. So you've kind of got a language-free game going on here, and then they just change this paperwork for wherever the game is being published in. So that's kind of nice too, and it is fairly straightforward. Think in our second game where Michael wasn't kind of policing us, we had one question the entire 10 rounds to ask him about a rules issue. And on the back then, dice are one of the key features in this, and you will be changing the faces in the dice, and we'll cover that as well. So this explains all the different die faces and what they mean as well. But again, it's one of those things you kind of look at and go, huh? What? And then you're like, oh, right, okay, yeah, all right, that makes sense. Fine. It's just not what you expect. That's the kind of thing. So yeah, as I say, once you unpack everything, and everything kind of comes in the box just bundled, and then you take everything out, and the box itself, as I've already said, is part of the play area. It kind of forms the temple where you go to buy blessings and things, but it's also your storage for everything, and everything's fairly clearly labelled out in it. The little rules book, for the want of a better word, rules sheet, also gives you a nice layout of where everything goes. And this main sort of temple area where all the alternate dice face are kept, it has a little map to show you where everything's supposed to be laid out as well. It's fiddly, okay, to sort of organise and store and whatnot is fiddly, but once you've done it, that's it done, and then it's just kind of putting things away. It takes a little bit of time, not a huge amount, just a little bit. It's a game to be careful with. Before we kick off, thoughts on what this game kind of overall is. It's not, in our minds, an all-nighter. It's not the sort of game you're going to play 4 or 5 games of in one evening, unless it's particularly your thing. We've played it now with several different groups of guys, and all of them are what I would call different kinds of gamers. They like different things in games. They all enjoyed this, and from that point of view within our club, we found it was very much a game that start of the night, waiting for people to turn up, bang on, fills a little bit of space. Coming up to the end of the night, everyone's a little bit tired, but there's a bit of time still to go. Yeah, it's comfortable there. Or if you've been playing sort of several smaller skirmish games or other fast games, this is going to slide really nicely in amongst them to give you a full evening of various games being played. So it's a comfortable game. It occupies you while you're playing it, but not so much so that you can't have a little bit of social interaction with the other players. That being said as well, the game is fairly much you doing your thing, kind of planning your next move, what you're next going to buy, what card you're going to go for, and then maybe being thwarted by one of your opponents going for that, because there will be limited cards on the table. There's limited numbers of die faces to be got. So you're edging your bets every time with what you can do. There's little tricks. There's some of the cards do interfere with other players, so you can rely on those, and there's some of them that give you extra bonuses above and beyond what everyone else is getting. So there's lots of different ways to play it. There's lots of different strategies you can try and employ to get the win in, and the win is to obtain glory. The overall flavour or theme of the game, the gods, fickle creatures that they are bored, and they've chosen 4 poor mortals to entertain them. So these mortals are heading off and doing various quests here in what we're calling the quest area to gain glory. And each of the cards has a cost in Moonstone or Sunstone, which are resources that you acquire through the game. You go to the quest area with your pawn, pay the price, get the card. The card has an effect. Maybe it's a permanent effect, maybe it's an immediate effect, maybe it's a one-off, maybe it has no effect, but most of them then have a glory value. And you stack those up beside you. At the end of the game, once you reach the final turn, everyone totals up the glory value of their cards, puts in a little glory tracker on their character card, and the person with the greatest glory has won. Hey presto. There you go. It's simple as that. You don't even really need to see it now, do you? But you know what? It's pretty, so we'll let you see it anyway. Now, to try and save you guys and girls that are watching a little bit of time, I've tried to set this up in such a way that we're seeing a little bit of everything here. We've got the box, which, as I say, forms the temple where you'll go for your blessings, which are your dice face in the game. And you're seeing a proportion of the quest part of the board, allowing you to see here some of the cards, the people's, the little quest areas, and whatnot, and then we'll show you the character cards and the dice as well. So first thing I'm going to jump to here is I'm going to take this off so that I can again show you the box itself. So this is the storage tray, and everything comes originally packed in here, just sort of loose. You've got the dice stored up the sides here. Now you'll not see it particularly well in this light, unfortunately, and it doesn't really matter. Pure daylight is where I see it best. There's kind of a grey dice and like a beige sort of a dice, and they go in pairs to each player. One of the dice will have this one value sunstone symbol on it, and the other die that they'll get has a 1 value moonstone on it. The only other difference is that this die also has a 2 value glory. All the other faces will be 1 value gold. Okay, and that's just a little storage tray for them. And there is moon value symbols and sun value symbols if you pay attention when you're storing them, which I clearly didn't. Oh well, it's my box, I'm going to do what I like. In here is where the cards are stored. They are not segregated by individual type. Rather, the segregation of cards is simply lumped together in cards that cost sunstone or moonstone, or here in the middle there's 2 little divided sections for the biggest cards which cost both sunstone and moonstone on the table. Little home for our pawns. Little recesses here for the gemstones that are used on the character cards. The character cards sit on this bay here when in storage, and then we have a couple of tokens that are used throughout the game stored up the sides here as well. So the temple floor itself is this. This is quite clever. These are all loose die face that you'll be able to buy when you're playing the game. Now, it is a little bit fiddly, and if you're a bit ham-fisted and thick-fingered like me, you will occasionally, like I just did, knock them out, okay? They're little sort of, almost like Lego style plug-in pieces, which swap out on the dice. This cardboard sleeve has a dual purpose. It shows you how to lay these out when you first get it, but this tray then with them in slips with care into this sleeve, and then you get this elasticated band which is just the right width to go around and keep them down in, and with the rule books and whatnot on top, nothing has seemed to shift, even when the box has been on its side in the car and stuff like that there. It's all been good. So what have we got on the temple itself then? You have this top area, and these dice face here can all be bought for gold values. You can see 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 and 12, and there are limited numbers in each. In your round you can choose to either go on a quest or go to the temple, or if you have surplus sunstone on your character card, you can spend 2 sunstone to have an extra go, which allows you to either quest twice, go to the temple twice, or do one of each. The values on this section I think are going to be fairly straightforward to you. This face will gain you 3 gold if you roll it, 1 moonstone, 4 gold, 1 sunstone. Up here's our first sort of real mix, 6 gold, 1 glory and 1 sunstone, 2 gold and 1 moonstone, or your choice of 1 gold, 1 sunstone or 1 moonstone. Over here, all the same, and it's 3 gold or 2 glory if that face comes up when you roll it, 2 moonstone, 2 sunstone, 3 glory, and then kind of the exciting mix down at the bottom, 4 glory, 1 of each, 2 of whichever one you choose, and 2 plus 2. This section down at the bottom then can't be bought. These are die faces that are rewarded for actually getting cards in the quest areas on the map. The card rewards the particular face and it shows on the card as well. In this case, this face if rolled, you'll get 3 times the value of the other dice. This case, if the colour match is the same as the other, you'll get to choose 1 or 1 of the stones available. This one is a discount for shopping in the temple. This is another colour match one. If the other die that you roll matches the colour in this section, you'll get the coloured section value. In this case it's all 5 glory. If however it doesn't match, you get the lower value, which is still quite good because it's 3 glory or 3 gold or 2 sunstone or 2 moonstone. And this question mark face, the portal sort of one, allows you to take the dice face value of one of your opponents. Over in the quest zone then, this again, it couldn't be simpler. You have the outer ring and we have a first player marker. Now this marker goes to the youngest player in the game, and they keep that for the duration of the game. And every time play comes to them, this smaller version of the marker moves around the outer dial. And when it gets to the last turn, that's it. It's game over. Everyone totals up what they've got. So as we said, in your turn, you can either quest or you can go to the temple shopping. If you decide to quest, you lift your pawn. You'll set them over to the quest area that you choose. Now, obviously, there's more quest areas as we go up the board. This side of the board are all moonstone values. This side of the board are all sunstone values. And the very end section of the board is 3 card areas. And that's for cards that cost high value sunstone or moonstone or both. There's a couple of interesting cards, particularly on this side of the board and quite early on. They're very low value cards. We have the hammer. And if the hammer is chosen, you'll take your character card, and the hammer card is flipped over and flips into this little top section here. And you'll also get one of these little hammer tokens. Out you come. I'll probably end up taking maybe 3 of them. There we go. The little hammer token has a 1 value and a 2 value. And all that you do is you'll pop the little hammer on, and every turn, when you roll your die, any gold that you get, you can either choose to put the gold onto your gold track up here, or you can add the gold onto your lower track here. You will tend to roll a lot of gold. And when that happens, as this moves up, the first time it gets to the top of the track, you get 10 glory on your bottom track. Straight away, the little hammer flips over to the 2, down to here. And again, you'll go through the course of the game, and when it gets to the end, you'll get 15 glory straight away. And then that's that card and token dispensed with. It has no further value in the game or to you. As I said there, you do tend to generate an awful lot of gold. And you can't store extra. When your little tracking gems reach the end here, that's it. Anything else resource wise that you roll for is lost. So one of the other cards that you can obtain is the chest. And if you take that, it's a very low glory value, but you get an additional run for your tracker, like so. And suddenly you keep on going. There are 4 of these in the game. So not a huge number of them, but worth trying to get your hands on if you plan to try and sort of store up more gold or any of the other high value stones to go for some of the other bigger cards. Or of course by taking these yourself, if you're able to, because they're cheap in moonstone value, you deny the other players the opportunity. So you just get them for being bad. While we've got this up, it's probably just as easy to show you the character card. What I'll do here, just for the purposes of it, is I'll fire down this because this just makes it a little bit easier for you to see. Okay, so this is the character card. All the character cards are essentially the same. Okay, there are 2 female characters, 2 male characters. We have the blue one lurking over here. Okay. So no advantage in which card you choose, just a matter of colour and preference. And you'll get a set of stones and your token which match the colour of the character card. And your little stones go into the tracker values down at the 0. And again, what we have here, in case it's not abundantly clear to you, is a gold track, sunstone track, a moonstone track, single digit glory, double digit glory. And as we've already shown you, in each player's turn, everybody will roll their dice. So whether it's my go or your go or whoever else's go, everyone rolls their dice at the same time. Okay, whoops. They apply the values that are shown on their die, and then their die are set over to here until the next occasion to roll the dice. Now, part of the reason for that is, as we've seen, there's cards and effects which can change or allow an opponent to take advantage of the values here as well. And there's a little 2 reminder here that you get another go if you want to spend 2 sunstone. So play moves to the next player. Only the active player can shop or do quests, but everyone every turn will be rolling their dice, and taking advantage of whatever resources. Now you can see in a couple of turns we're already pretty much halfway up the gold track, assuming that was other people having their go. Then it would come to our go, 2 more glory and another gold. And at this point, with no values down here and only gold, really our only choice would be to go to the temple and buy something from the temple to improve our dice. So let's look at doing that then. So if we're sitting at the minute with 6 gold, and these are our basic dice which we've got, we could purchase a 2 moonstone and that'll be our 6 gold gone. Or we could purchase a 4 value face here and a 2 value face down here if we wanted. We couldn't choose 2 3s and we couldn't choose 3 2s because you're not allowed to buy from the same area of the temple more than once in the turn. So let's say, for sake of argument, we go for a 4 and a 2. We would decide first of all which dice we're going to put them on, because once they're on, that's it, permanently done. Spend our gold. So I'm first of all going to spend 4, and for that 4 I'm going to take this here because I think this is pretty good. 1 glory and 1 sunstone. And I'm going to find the die that already has sunstone on it, and then using the new face, because I nearly forgot when to use my thumbs, you just lever up the old one and you pop down the new face, and then that stays face up on your card. The discarded face goes beside your player card so you know to change the face back at the end of the game and reset the dice. Still got 2 gold to spend, and I think what we'll do is we'll maybe go for a 3 gold. So we'll buy our 3 gold and we'll look for one of our 1 faces and we'll prize that off like so and pop that on, and that then goes back on to our card that way as well. And that's it. That is shopping at the temple 101. Now, it just seemed impolite to not let you get a slightly better look at the quest section of the board before we call it a night and let you go about your business. As you can see, it's that cutesy, cartoony sort of graphic. One of the things I particularly liked when I noticed it was the cards, when they're in their little homes, their artwork blends in with the temple area that they're supposed to be in. Each card has some clear values on it. It's got the value that you'll pay in the stone available, and that's how you marry the cards up to when you're setting the board up, because there's more cards, as you've seen, than is out. Now you'll normally have 4 of each type in their home. Nothing gets replaced, so as they're exhausted the area just goes dormant and out of play. So you've got the price that you'll pay, you'll have the type of effect that it is. So in this case the little sort of whirlwind or lightning strike is an instant. Another one is this little cog. So an instant takes effect right away. The cog stays face up beside your card and stays in play every time it's your turn. Okay, and then there are cards that have no effect because really all they're for is glory and they only have relevance at the end of the game. I think we have covered in the previous section what most of these do, the cards that generate dice face. And I think you've probably already started agreement when you're looking at this. You know, this one here, it's a permanent effect. So every time it's your turn, you can change 3 gold into 4 glory. The likes of this one is the one that gets you the face for 3 times value. And then up at the more expensive end of the board, we've got the likes of this one here. Instant effect. Straight away, you'll get 2 boons. You get to roll your dice twice and collect the resources from that. This one here, which looks similar, is only a single dice, so you choose one of your 2 and you'll roll it 4 times in a row and collect all the resources from those rolls there and then. And then you've got the likes of this card right up at the end, which is 5 sunstone and 5 moonstone, but it clocks you up a mighty 26 glory straight away. Some of the cards have a little blue stone on the back. These simply indicate that these are the sets of cards they recommend you try to use for your first game, and then after that you're free to chop and change them about. The setup does suggest that they could very easily bring out more cards as a refresh or an expansion to Dice Forge. I'm not aware, I haven't actually looked to be honest, if they have or if they intend to, but it would certainly lend itself to being able to do that. Equally easily, they could bring out a new kind of quest board which extends on, keeping the temple structure. Or I suppose really, given the way that the dice face works and it comes out in this little card slab, they could easily bring out another component for that changes the dice face as well. But in saying that, we've had several games now in a row over a couple of nights, thoroughly enjoyed them, filled the niche very nicely, very happy with it, and as I say, based on playing it when Michael brought it down, 2 of us went straight out and picked it up. You will, if you hunt around, you should find it from between about sort of £22-23 upwards to about 34-35. Certainly shouldn't want to be paying anything more than that. But there you go. It's pretty, it's fun, it's fairly fast, it's fairly intuitive. There's a lot of different ways you can approach trying to get victory. You can do a little bit of tomfoolery with your opponents. It's not co-op, it is obviously competitive, and there are other cards that you can swap out that do give a little bit more sort of opportunity for backstabbing your mates. But there's plenty of ways to just thwart them by trying to sort of see the strategy that someone's going for and denying them cards. One of the last sort of mechanic aspects of it that I haven't mentioned, I've just realised, is when you move your pawn to one of the temple zones to do something, the next person in their turn might decide they want to go there. They're quite free to do that. They just knock you out and return you to your starting pedestal. But that gains that player a single boon, which means they choose either one of their dice, they roll it, and they get that effect straight away as well for being knocked out of the quest point. And there we have it, folks. That is, I think, fairly succinctly and in a nutshell, Dice Forge. I've tried to keep it straightforward and to the point for you. It's definitely a thumbs up little game for us. Nice, pretty, friendly, enjoyable game. Doesn't require a huge amount of brain power, but has a lot of opportunities for gameplay within it, and certainly, from our opinion, a great deal of replayability. Thanks for watching. Give us a comment down below, give us a thumbs up if you feel inclined, subscribe if you're going absolutely crazy, and don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all that social media stuff. Until the next video, thanks for watching and bye bye.